How's it going, everyone? It's Artifact. It is Friday. I'm pretty exhausted. I've been making a bunch of YouTube videos, working, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyway, I've got my last little sound design tutorial of the week, which is going to be called the hammer hits. And on this one, I really want to hammer in more groove into this drum and bass loop. So what I've done is I have made these kind of lead hits. I'm really putting them on certain parts of the groove so they kind of interact with the bass line to create like a sort of extra level of impact to the groove. So if I just play you the loop quickly. So I have done some post-processing, as you can see here, and I've used a few little tricks which I have kept for my Patreon tutorials. So definitely feel free to check those out if you want to learn some more extra special post-processing stuff. But today, again, we shall get into the vital patch that I made for these hammer hits. And I originally wanted like a sort of one-shot hit. So I thought, I'm just going to type in the word shot into the text-to-speech oscillator 1 here. So if I just quickly mute everything else. It's a fairly simple patch, but... So this is just shot, and I've put that on here again. This is the modulation of the length of the wavetable. So I've mapped that to envelope 2, so it's starting from the S and then going down to the T, so it goes shot at this kind of nice, not random, but mediocre speed. And there's a little bit of vocoding, and then to make it interesting, we are then FMing it to oscillator 2, which is it's called low-high fold. It's just a random one I chose. And it actually sort of really gritties it up and distorts it. And both of these, I've got unison turned on. Make sure the phase is at 0 on both, so that it's always the same. Unison 5, unison 3, just getting a nice blend. So that's kind of the main sound that we've got here. And so this one is FMing into this one. We've got this random amplitude setting on here. See, it's quite a sort of it's sort of like a saw wave without it, but then when you put this random amp on, it really just digitalizes it and makes it almost completely different. But it kind of just frequency modulated the original oscillator in a way that I thought was quite nice. So I thought I could make a sort of lead stab out of that. And then I've gone on to add in some noise. And rather than using just the noise on its own, you know, if I turn the level up, like this is the jackhammer, so this is adding that kind of hammer texture on top of the sound. But rather than just doing it, this is quite a nice little tip. So rather than just having the level of the noise on, I've actually turned that all the way down, and I've turned on a sine wave here. Obviously it's really, really high pitched, but I've turned this mode on ring modulate sample, so it's ring modulating with the sample. I've turned that up to like 100, turned the level down on here, level up on here, and then what you actually get, if you just solo it, you actually get like a ring modulated version of the sample. And I've pitched it up to 2 octaves here. And this has allowed me to also put unison on it, so I can actually widen this sample and give it some detuning. So it's got quite a lot of stereo information, because I want those stereo textures in the high end to add to the sound, because those kind of high end textures can be really stereoed, and you know that's going to give the sound like a nice cone shape in terms of like the stereo spectrum. So I added it together with this. It's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. And then we've got an envelope here, which is really, really fast pitch drop, which is being mapped in the matrix here. So envelope 3 is going to global and then voice transpose. And then it's just up like a kind of random amount, 58. And it's just doing a little quick pitch bend, so we have a little bit more attack at the beginning of the note. I was pretty happy with that. I tried a few filters. I didn't think I really needed any here. And then I went on to really add in a few sort of drastic effects. The main one, which is the chorus. So if you turn it up to full, you know, really makes it wide, and it's almost a bit too much, but because it's like a kind of lead sound that's going to sort of sit on top of the bass almost, I want it to like splash out with a bit of stereo information, like more so than the bass has. So that's why I'm like going a bit heavier on the chorus than I would on like a bass line, which I want to make sure it's like strong in the middle. So I've dialed in a fair bit of chorus here, like 25% or something. And then this distortion really really brings things out as well. I think I like the hard clip on this one. It really just like brings up those textures and harmonics like all kind of together, kind of like glues things together when you use distortion, in my opinion, my humblest of opinions. Then we've got, just to finish off, a little bit of reverb. And again, I've gone a little bit heavier on this than I would with a bass. So we have mixed in like sort of 20%. I've just turned down the time. If there was a way I could maybe take out a bit more low, I would, but it's not super important because I don't mind that the sound is a little bit more washed out than the rest of the kind of elements in my track. So then I was pretty happy with that. And then let's quickly look at the MIDI. So I've actually sort of played it along with the bass line, and I've cut out a couple of little sections of bass where these notes are hitting. So let's listen to the patch on its own. So it's got like its own kind of melody to it, and it gives like a bit of a progression, and it's kind of harmonizing with the bass. So there's sort of sometimes when the keys are a little bit different, but they're in the same scale. So it adds a bit of extra like complexity to like the melody part of the loop. So if we listen to it like with the bass sounds, and let's mute the drums for this. So we've got quite an interesting kind of melodic patterns happening here at the same time. So that's pretty cool. And then, yeah, then I've just gone to bounce that out, and then I've made a whole new group of these layers, and I've sort of processed them all with a few little tips and tricks that I shared with my Patreon crew over the last couple of weeks. So yeah, definitely feel free to check that out if you want to learn some extra stuff from me. Like I mentioned before, the banging kick and snare and hats samples are from one of my friends' companies called Lout Neuro drums. And well, they're called Lout samples, but you can get a discount. The link is below. You just type in Lout artifacts on their website on any of their products. They already have like some of the cheapest prices out there anyway, and the samples are wicked, and you save money if you use my code. Yeah, that's my last little video for the week. I hope you guys have an awesome weekend. I hope you learned a little bit more about synthesis. Feel free to drop me a comment down below if you just want to like get involved and chat. I'm always going to respond to you. So big ups and have a nice weekend.